You would think that by this time they would have already learned. Hello and welcome to another video. This time we have information coming directly once again from the actors that take part in the Rings of Power Amazon series, and even though these are the words of the actors that are involved in this show, I would say that it also reflects the state of the marketing department over there, which is a complete disaster, and it's also quite pathetic. And I'm saying this because what we see right now, with all those interviews and comments from the cast about how diverse this is and how important it is to see this representation on screen and so on and so forth, I think that either the marketing department is filled with activists that have lost their minds completely, or that have not any connection to the real world whatsoever, or that it is run by a diversity coordinator, and that's the boss behind all of this. And of course, as a diversity coordinator, is completely out of their minds and is sending these idiotic messages, as you will see very soon. But from some Sofia Nomveiti saying how important it is to be a dwarf in this thing, how important it is to have representation, to Nazanin Boniadi saying that her character is an activist and so on and so forth. Well, we have evidence that this is madness, but at least on those occasions, madness was contained to just being narcissistic imbeciles that praised their praises for their characters, of course, but also for what they stood for as these individuals with these particular characteristics that are portrayed in their characters. But what happened last night definitely crossed a line, and we are going to see what that is all about. Morvid Clark, who plays Galadriel in the Rings of Power Amazon series, took to Instagram last night and pointed out a blatant attack on the fandom, which is something that we hadn't seen before. It is something, let's say, new at this moment, because it's really not something that we had seen from any of the cast, a direct attack on the fandom, but this time that's what we got in her Instagram story. The post in question reads, quote, "Anyone sending hate to my black castmates, get off my page, get off the internet and shut up," end quote. Now what this seems to try to do is try to address alleged attacks on black cast members, mainly Sofia Nomveiti or Ismael Cruz Cordova, for example. But as we have been following the development and of course news on the Rings of Power, there has been no report on any of these attacks actually taking any place. But as we shall see, this seems to be just another play, another move in this game that Amazon is trying to play, and following a similar playbook that we have already seen over at Disney, and more specifically Lucasfilm with Star Wars. A very, very similar situation. Some months ago, the official Star Wars Twitter account posted a series of attacks on the fandom for alleged racist comments on one of the cast members for their Disney Plus series Obi-Wan Kenobi. That actor being Moses Ingram, who played the character of Reva. Moses Ingram is a black woman, and the character was not very well received overall at the end of that series. And that was not because Ingram is black, or because she's a woman, more than because the character was poorly written, the character didn't have any character development, or at least not a credible character development, and the fans complained about it, as they always do when they see poorly written material. Still, the game and the move that Lucasfilm and Star Wars basically tried to play in this case was blame the fandom. If things go awry, just blame the fandom. They are the ones that are attacking people, not anybody else. It is the fandom that is responsible for our failure. And, as you would expect, fans are toxic, are racist, and overall terrible people. As you would expect, that tactic didn't really pay off, as merchandise regarding Riva didn't really sell that well, and there was even a Haslav project that couldn't make its deadline and didn't meet the quantity necessary for it to go into production and had to be cancelled. So, as you can see, these tactics of trying to guilt people into accepting characters or stories that they don't like, or simply changes and transformations that don't sit well with them, well, it's not working at all. It's not something that the fans are going to take. And considering that the Tolkien fandom has been quite vocal about what they see here as mistakes or things that don't go according to what Tolkien wrote, well, they are even less inclined to be guilted into this sort of thing. And if you pay attention to the criticisms, yes, sure, there are some who claim that there should not be any black elves or black dwarfs, and these second ones because they lived under the mountains and the sun does not really reach them, so there is really no point in them having more melanin in their skin to protect them from the sun. Regardless of that, if you pay attention to the criticisms that the Rings of Power has garnered, many of them go to changes like in the timeline, which is getting contracted, and also changes in characters like Tarmiriel becoming this army general as well as a queen regent, Galadriel becoming a warrior and visiting Numenor when she never actually did, or other changes like that relationship that we mentioned between Nazanin Boniadi's character and Ismael Cruz Cordova, because they are a woman and an elf, and they are not meant to be together because those were very rare relationships, and other changes as well, like Sauron's real identity and the alleged disappearance of Celeborn, who is nowhere to be seen, and some other changes that fans have not taken that well. So to claim that any form of criticism that this show is getting is because of racist and toxic fans is not only idiotic but also inaccurate, and sets a precedent for this thing to fail even more, and also sets a precedent of attacking the fans, which is never ever a very good idea. Why? Why, if the fandom is so toxic and so racist and terrible, why would you even care to make a product that, of course, is meant for them? It is not clear and it's illogical. Doesn't make sense at all. But it's not ending there. Galadriel, Morfydd Clark, also had another part, a second part, in that story that she published. In that second bit of her story, she had a clip from the Entertainment Weekly video presenting some of the cast members, especially that of Celebrimbor that is at the end, with the words "who made this" in brackets, and then just the message, the kind message that you just see on the screen, right? classy, classy for this girl right here, right, to have these beautiful words directed at the fans that she has made this for with such love and such enduring feelings of gratefulness, and all those beautiful things, those beautiful feelings that we can see, right? Once again, it's pathetic. It's an open attack, and if this was directed by the marketing department that everyone has to defend those cast members that are black or from other ethnicities or otherwise, then this is completely out of control, it's out of mind, and it is just a reflection of how completely disastrous the marketing for this thing is. And if it is something that the actor, in this case, something that the actor decided to do on her own, then it's also an indication of how deranged these people are, how narcissistic these people are, and also the direction that they should be going if it is played in the same way that the Star Wars playbook was played, and this should fall into oblivion. For those of you who are still between two minds whether to continue supporting this project or not, are you now decided with this thing? Because if you still support this work even when they have openly decided to attack the fans of which you are a part, then I think that you also have lost completely your mind. Again, it's your decision, but consider carefully what is to be done, because this is something that should not really stand. Let me know what you think down below in the comments. Thank you for watching.